Alright, Chapter 20, Maintenance. Maintenance. Don't serve the injection. Do not service the injection nozzles. Do not service the remove the injection nozzle. The service life of the injection nozzle may be shortened by overheating, improper operation, poor quality fuel, excessive idling. The injection nozzles are not work correctly or are dirty, and the engine will not run normally. See authorized dealer for services. Do not change the injection pump. And never the steam cleaner or pour cloud water on the injection pump while the pump is running. While it still is warm, do not make seizure for the pump parts. Clean trash regularly from under the injection pump. Change the anywhere with approved by the manufacturer with the end of the warranty. See with a copy of the John Deere warranty within this machine. Do not service the injection pump with the not operating core correctly. See for authorized injection pump service center. Bleeding the fuel system. Open the bleed screw for the fuel filter on the water separator. Place pump the water separator primer until the fuel fills with the separate bowl until the fuel escapes the water with the separator bleed screw. Tighten the water separator bleed screw. Pump the water separator primer until the fuel escapes from the final fuel filter bleed screw and tighten the final fuel filter bleed screw. Precautions for the alternator and regulator. When the batteries are connected, follow these rules. Disconnect the negative battery cable when you are working on near or alternator or regulator. Do not try to polarize the alternator or the regulator. Be sure the alternator wires are correctly connected before you connect the battery. Do not ground the alternator output terminal. Do not disconnect or connect any alternator regulator wires with the batteries are connected while alternating is operating. Connect the batteries and boost the battery with the corrected polarity positive to positive and negative to negative. Do not disconnect the batteries when the engine is running and the alternator is charging. Disconnect battery cables before you connect the battery charger to the batteries. Alright, service the battery carefully. Caution, battery gas can explode. Keep the spark of the flames away from the battery. Use the flashlight to check the battery electrolyte. Never to check the battery charge with the place of the metal with above across the post. Use the voltmeter or hydrometer. Will always remove the ground battery clamp first. Replace it last. Sulfuric acid battery electrolyte is poisonous, strong enough to burn skin, eat holes in clothing, cause blindness, and splash into the eyes. Avoid hazard filing the batteries with well-ventilated air. Wear eye protection rubber gloves. Avoid breathing fumes when the electrolyte is added. Avoid spilling of the dripping electrolyte. Use the proper joint start procedures. If you spill acid on yourself, flush your skin with water. Apply baking soda and lime to help neutralize the acid. Flush your eyes with water. 15 to 30 minutes will get medical attention immediately. If acid is swallowed, do not induce vomiting. Drink large amounts of water or milk, but do not exceed 2 quarts. Get immediate medical attention immediately. Electrolyte spill on the floor. Use only the following mixtures. Neutralize the acid of 1 pound baking soda with 4 gallon of water, or 1 pint of household ammonia with 1 gallon of water. Important, electrolyte can damage paint and metal surfaces of your machine. Do not overfuel the battery cells. Checking electrolyte specific gravity caution. Battery gas can explode. Keep the specific sparks flames away from the battery. Use the flashlight to check the battery electro level. Never change the battery charge for the placing of metal with the object across the post. Use the voltmeter or hydrometer. Use to remove the ground with the negative battery clamp first and replace it last. The sulfuric acid in the battery electrolyte is poisonous and strong enough to burn the skin, eat holes in clothing, cause blindness, and splash in the eyes. Avoid hazard filing batteries with a well-ventilated area. Wear eye protection rubber gloves. Avoid breathing fumes. The electrolyte is added with avoid spilling of the dripping electrolyte. Use the proper jump start procedure. Spill acid on yourself. If you spill acid on yourself, flush your skin with water. Apply baking soda or lime to help neutralize the acid. Flush your eyes with water. 15-30 minutes to get medical attention immediately. If acid is swallowed, do not induce the vomiting. Drink large amounts of water and milk, but do not exceed 2 quarts to get medical attention immediately. You can check the specific gravity electrolyte in each battery cell. See your John Deere dealer, the J205460, and service card with the battery coolant tester of the following directions. Include with the tester, fully charged battery, which will have corrected specific gravity reading of 1.260. If the reading is below 1.200, charge the battery. The tropical areas use 1.225 for the full charge reading, and the cold areas use 1.280 for the full charge reading. Using a battery charger. Disconnect the battery ground before the charging the batteries in the machine to prevent the damage of electrical components. The battery may explode with the charge when it is frozen. Warm battery is 16 degrees Celsius, 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Before charging, the battery charger may be used with the booster to start the engine. Now, even the battery charger as booster, if the reader has a 1.150 specific gravity reading or lower, turn off the charger before connecting and disconnecting it. Replacing batteries. You must have, your machine has 2 to 12 volt batteries with a negative ground. Batteries must be meet one of the specifications below the battery. Cold cranking amps to 1400 at 0 degrees Celsius. Minimum reverse capacity 440 at 225 amps. If one battery's 24 volt system has failed, but the other is still good, replace the field battery with one of the same type. For example, replace the field maintenance free battery with a new maintenance free battery. The different type of the batteries may have different rates charges. The difference could overload one of the batteries, cause it to fail. Removing the batteries. Remove the two wing nuts for the battery. Cover the disconnect with the negative battery cable first, then positive cable to remove the hold down brackets, lifting batteries out of the compartment. Welding on the machine. Disconnect the battery ground strap with the turning of the battery. Disconnect the switch and off to prevent voltage spikes when the alternator monitor. If the machine is equipped with control of the microprocessor like a main control, disconnect the harness connector from the controller with the prevent low voltage spike through the microprocessor. Connect the welder ground clamp closer to each of the welder and Alex so electrical current does not irk inside any of the bearings. Adding 12 volt accessories. The machine has a 24 volt electrical system. Installing 12 volt accessories in addition with the 24 volt to the 12 volt converter may cause battery failure. When possible, use the 24 volt accessory. 12 volt accessories are added to the 12 volt. Use the 24 volt to 12 volt converter. The converters are available to the authorized dealer. See the industrial equipment attachment guide. The convertible capacity requirements depending on the load of the accessory installed with the file. The electronic dealer, the manufacturer recommendations determine the capacity of the converter required for the installation requirements. Important. Do not connect the accessory to one battery. Connecting the 12 volt accessory to one battery will cause the one battery to overcharge the other battery to undercharge, causing battery failure. Replacing fuse. The fuse box is located behind the seat. Remove the cover A. Important. Install the fuse for the correct amperage rating to prevent the electrical system damage from overload. Alright, 15. 1 is a 5 amp backup. 2 is a 10 amp controller. 3 is a 10 amp EC motor. 4 is a 5 amp solenoid. 5 is a 10 amp power on. 6 is a 5 amp switch box. 7 5 amp. 8 10 amp. 9 5 amp. 10 5 amp travel. 11 10 20 amp lamp. 12 the 10 amp wiper. 13 20 amp heater. 14 5 amp air conditioner. 15 10 amp horn. 16 5 amp radio. 17 10 amp lighter. 18 5 amp room lamp. 19 10 amp auxiliary. And 20 amp lamp. Our fuse blade type of the colors, amperage rating color, 1 is black, 3 is violet, 4 is pink, 5 is tan, 7.5 is brown, 10 is red, 15 is light blue, 20 is yellow, 25 is natural white, and 30 is light green. Checking the travel alarm system. Propel the machine forward, travel alarm must sound. Stop the machine, travel alarm must stop. Propel the machine forward, dress the travel alarm, cancel, switch A. After the initial 12-second alarm must stop. Repeat the test of the machine traveling in the reverse. The travel alarm does not operate properly. Do not operate the machine. See the authorized dealer. Replacing bucket teeth. The guard against the injury with the flying piece of the metal wear goggle with the safety goggles. Important angle to drift the toward with the bucket to avoid damaging with the rubber pin block. Use a hammer and drift the drive out the outlocking pin. Alternate buckets may use different tooth assembly. Remove the tooth. Insert rubber pin lock A for the damage. Replace with the necessary. If the rubber pin has been moved, reposition the slot and adapt the tooth shank. 5. Position the new tooth over the tooth shank and the 6. The drive the locking pin with the hole fully. Check the bucket teeth periodically so the wear draw does not exceed the bucket tooth shank. Moving the bucket. Remove the bucket. See, use this quick disconnection hitch in this manual. 42-inch bucket, 60-inch bucket. Replacing bucket tooth tip with a heavy-duty bucket. Clean the tooth A and the tooth B, tooth tip B. Interlock removal tool under U-shaped pin C. Caution: avoid possible injury. Pin may fly after release from the tooth tip. Keep a firm grip on the pin by the prevent injury. Remove the pin. Turn the tooth tip counterclockwise to pull it out towards U to remove. Clean the tooth shank. Replace the U-shaped pin. At the same time, you will brace the tooth tip. Insert the tooth tip of the shank, turning the tip clockwise. Install the U-shaped pin. Side pin mark front. D must face tooth tip. Face tooth tip. Make sure the pin is firmly engaged over the tip. Tooth tip. A is the tooth. B is the tooth tip, C is the pin, and D is your front marker. Do not service the control valve with the cylinder, pumps, and motors. Special tools and information are needed to service the control valve, cylinders, pumps, and motors, and these parts need the service of your authorized dealer. Track sag generation information. Track sag general information. To maximize the undercarriage life of the keep the track sag within the specification, tracks may require adjustment several times or more during the working day due to the train soil type of the moisture content, adjusting the track with the actual operation condition, tighten the track, packing the cause for the tight track, and the material pack as the undercarriage will adjust the tracks with the material packed into the components. While the track spring will recoil with the machine can continue to operate with the tight track. The continued operation will result with excessive pin, bushing, wear, sprocket, popping, tooth tip wear, excessive loads on the entire undercarriage of the propel of the drive system. Machine productive fuel consumption are also adversely affected because of the increased horsepower is needed to move the machine. A loose track has more more side-to-side motion, increase side wear of the links and rollers front of the idler. Excessive loose track will slap at the high ground speed, resulting in the high impact loads on the sprocket, teeth, bush, and carrier rollers. Alright, your hardware torque specification. Check the cap screws into nuts to be sure that they are tight. If the hardware is loose, tighten the torque as shown on the following charts unless the special torque is specified. Alright, check your track shoe torque. The track shoe cap screw should be periodically checked if the cap screw does not meet the minimum torque specification. Remove the shoe, clean the mating surface of the shoe length before the tightening of the cap screw. If the unit is operated with a loose track shoe, the cap screws the hole should be linked with the wear. It may be difficult to keep the track shoes tight. Loose shoes can be also cause the hardware failure or loss of track shoes. Install all track shoe nuts with the round edge A against the lock of the chamfered edge B with away from the link B. Ensure that the nut is properly positioned to link it so that there is a fully contact area between the nut and the link. Your cap screw specification is 200 pounds a foot, plus or minus a half turn, 180 degree. A rounded edge and chamfered edge, B. Unified inch bolt cap screw torque values. Not use the value of different torque value of the tightening procedure given in the specific application. Torque values are listed in general use. They'll only check the tightening to faster periodically. Shear the bolts are designed to fall under predetermined loads. All replace shear bolts with the identical grade. Fasteners should be replaced with the same higher grade with the higher grade fasteners. They should be tight with the strength of the original. Make sure the shear fastening threads are clean, that you properly start the thread engagement. This will prevent them from falling when tightening. The tightening plastic inserted with the crimpable steel type lock nuts approximately 50% with the dry torque shown in the chart applied to the nut, the bolt head, tightened tooth, or serrated type lock nuts to full torque value. And then the metric. Additional metric cap screw torque values. Caution, use only the metric tools on the metric hardware, and other tools may not fit properly. They may slip and cause injury. Check the tightening of the cap screws periodically. Torque the values listed for the general use only. Do not use the values. The different torque value of the tighten procedure listed for a specific application. Alright, you got your T. Your shear bolts are designed to fail under the predetermined loads. Always replace the shear bolts with identical grade H. Fasteners should be replaced with the same and higher grade with the faster grade fastener, or even these should only be tightened to the strength of the original. Make sure the fast thread and clean with the properly start thread engagement. This will prevent the falling with it. When tightening, tighten the cap screws having lock nuts approximately 50% of the amount shown in the chart is M. It shows your metric cap screw torque values, nominal diameter, T-bolt, H-bolt, and M-bolt. Alright, check oil lines and fittings caustic. Escaping the fluid under the pressure can be penetrated with the skin, causing the serious injury. Avoid the heads of relieving the pressure before disconnecting hydraulic other lines. Tighten all the connections with applying the pressure with the search all the leaks with the piece hole. Cardboard protect the hands and body with a high pressure fluid, and if accidents occur with the doctor, immediately any fluid injection with the skin must be surgically removed within a few hours. Generally, gangrene may result. Doctors unfamiliar with the type of the injury may call the ear and company medical department of the malign illness or other knowledge of medical sources. Check all oil lines, hose, fittings, and regular leaks and the damage. Make sure the clamps are in position tight. Make sure the hoses are not twisted and touching the machine parts when moving. Tubing with the dents may cause the oil to overheat. If you find tubing with dents, install new tubing immediately. Important tight fittings is specified in the torque chart. When tightening connections with the two wrenches, preventing bending of the raking and tubing with fittings. Service recommendation: O-ring boss fittings. The straight fitting. Inspect the O-ring boss seating of the dirt defects. Then lubricate the O-ring with petroleum jelly. Place the electrical tape over the threads to protect the O-ring. Slide the O-ring over the tape into the O-ring groove with the fitting. Remove the tape to tighten the fitting the torque value shown on the chart. Angle fitting. Back off the lock nut A and back up the washer B. Complete to ending head end C of the fitting. Turn the fitting of the threaded boss until the back washer contact the face with the boss. Turn fitting head end of the counterclockwise to proper index maximum of the one turn. Do not always allow hose to twist when tightening fittings. Hold tightening and fitting of the head end of the wrench and tightening lock nut. Back up the washer to proper torque value. Shove the thread in the pound of the torque for the straight fitting the special torques. Alright, service recommendation for the flat and face O-ring seal fitting. The inspect the fitting of the sealing surfaces. They must be free with the dirt and defects. Inspect the O-ring. They must be free of the damage and the defects. Lubricate the O-rings. Install the groove with the U with the petroleum jelly to hold in place. Position the O-ring in the groove with plenty of the petroleum jelly so that the O-ring is not displaced during the assembly. Index angle fittings and tightly hand pressing joint together to ensure the O-ring remains in place. Tightening the fitting with that torque value shown down the chart per dash size stamped on the fitting. Do not allow the hose to twist when tightening the fitting. Tightening fittings. Flat face O-ring seal fittings. Nominal outside diameter, minimum inches. Dash size. Thread size. Thread size in threaded size. Swivel nut. Pounded torque and bulkhead pounded torque. Alright, surface recommendation for the 37-degree flare with the 30-degree cone seat connectors. Inspect the flare seat. They must be free of the dirt, obvious defect. Defects for the tube flare cannot be repaired. Over-tightening the defective flare fittings will not stop leaks. All line tube with the fitting before attempting to start the nut. Lubricate male threads with the hydraulic fluid with petroleum jelly. Index angle fitting of the tightening by hand. Tighten the fitting of the nut. Torque with the value shown on the torque chart. Do not allow the hose to twist when tightening fitting. Straight fitting of the special torque nut. Torch. Thread size of the pound per torque foot. Surface recommendation: flare connection straight with the tapered thread. Inspect the flare and flare seat, but they must be free of the dirt. Obvious defect. The defection for the tube flare cannot be repaired. Over tightening the defective flare fitting will not stop the leaks. Align the tube with the fitting before attempting to start the nut. Lubricate the male thread with the hydraulic fluid with the petroleum jelly. Index the angle fitting of the tight by hand. Tightening the fitting of the nut torque value shown on the chart. Do not allow the hose to twist when tightening fitting of the torque chart for your tapered and straight head to the thread. Pound is foot torque and the thread size. If the female thread is cast on control valve of the brake valve of the motor's concentric torque must be reduced approximately 10%. Service recommendation for the inch of the surface and bolt flange ranges: A. Sealing surface B. Split flange, flange. C. Pinch O-rings. D. Single piece flange. A. 1. Cleaning surface A. The stretch cause the leak of the roughness cover the seal. Wear of the outflat with the cause of the seals or extrusion. The defects cannot be polished out or replace the component. 2. Install the O-ring backwash and replace the grouping the use of the petroleum jelly to hold in place. Split flange loose assembly. Split flange B with a half to make sure the split centrally located with the circular port. Handle the hand tighten the cap screws to hold the parts in place. Do not pinch the O-ring. C. Switch the piece of flange D in the place of the hydraulic line center flange and install the cap screws. Flange must be carefully located on the part. Tighten the cap screws and hold the flange in place. Do not pinch the O-ring. Tighten one of the cap screws. Tighten the diagonally opposite cap screws. Tighten the two remaining cap screws. Tighten all the cap screws specified in the chart below. Do not use the air wrenches. Do not tighten one of the cap screws fully before tightening the other. Do not over-tighten. Or your torque on the nominal flange with the cap screw side of the pound for torque. Surface recommendation for metric surface with the 4-bolt flanges of A. Sealing surface B. The split flange. C. The pinch O-rings. D. The single piece flange. Cleaning surface A with inspection scratch with the cause of the leak of the roughness with the cause of the seal wear. Outlet flat with the cause of the seal extrusion and defects cannot be polished out with the replacement component. Inspect the correct O-ring with the backup of the washer if required. Group the use of the petroleum jelly to hold in place. Split flange. Loose assembly with a split flange for B with a half to make sure the split in the central located particular to the port. Hand tight with the cap screws to hold the parts in place. Do not pinch the O-ring. C. Single piece flange D with the place of the hydraulic line center flange with the installed 4 cap screws. Toilet flange can be centrally located on the port. Hand tighten the cap screws to hold the flange in place. Do not pinch the O-ring. After the components are properly positioned in the cap screws, there have been hand tighten the 1 cap screw, tighten the diagonally opposite cap screws, tighten the 2 remaining cap screws, tighten all the cap screws that are specified in the chart below. Do not use the air wrenches. Do not tighten one of the cap screws fully before the tightening of the others. Do not over tighten. Your thread M6, M8, M10, M12, M14, M16, M18, M20 torque and pound values. Figure chapter 21 operational checkout.